Hello there, and welcome to maybe the most important Dark Souls 3 boss tutorial, because today's boss is the dreaded Darkeater Midir. That's right, friends. Darkeater Midir may just be the hardest boss in Dark Souls history, maybe the hardest boss in gaming. That could just be a bit of hyperbole, but don't worry, because we're going to see how to beat him. The first thing to consider when fighting Darkeater Midir is what you're wearing and what you're using to kill him with. I'm sure I don't have to tell you at this point that he can kill you just about as quick as you can blink. So getting just about as much defense as you can before going in, well, that's a smart idea. Popping an ember for the fight, that's also a good idea. And being that he's a big old dragon the size of a building, his defenses are going to be unnaturally high. And despite his massive size, he's actually quite difficult to hit, so you're going to want to choose a weapon whose attacks are worth it when you can land one. For me, I decided to use a strong +10 Lothric Knight Greatsword, which has inherent lightning damage, which does extra damage to dragons. Learning to fight Darkeater Midir is an awful lot like learning how to drive a big old large truck. Now follow me on this one. When you're learning to drive a big old truck, the most important thing is going to be learning the clearances, where the vehicle is versus where the road is, and where other obstacles are. It's much like that when fighting Darkeater Midir. He's a big old dragon, like I said, about the size of a building, and when fighting him, it's most important to understand where he's going to be at the beginning and end of any given attack, and where you need to be to position yourself in such a place where you can get a counterattack on him. It's also important to understand that his repertoire of attacks is loosely based on how far from him you are. Now, if you're searching out this video, I'm sure I don't have to tell you that he can do attacks in a certain order that make it genuinely impossible to dodge and can end up killing you in a very frustrating way. We can generally remedy this by staying pretty close to him, but in order to do that, as mentioned before, we need to understand just where he is and where he's gonna be at the end of any given attack, not dodge too far from him, and understand when to dodge backwards and when to dodge forwards. Because if you dodge backwards all the time, two things are gonna happen. One, you're gonna get too far from him, and he's gonna start using some attacks that are just not fun to deal with. And two, you're gonna be too far to make any kind of a meaningful counterattack, at least without taking damage in return, even if you do manage to hit the attack. It's also worth noting that staying underneath him and staying behind him is really not a good idea. You'll see other videos and strategies based on attacking the tail and attacking the legs, but what you'll find is that when you stay too close to him, that is to say, underneath him, he's also going to use a repertoire of attacks that are difficult to avoid, if not nearly impossible, and potentially use them in such a sequence where they generally are impossible. And also, when you do damage to his head, it's going to do twice as much damage as it would when you attack the tail or the feet. As for learning the clearances, unfortunately that's not something I can teach you in the video. I can show you generally what I'm talking about right here, but it's just going to be a matter of feeling it out. Jumping down the hole and fighting him over and over, and just kind of doing the dance, as they say. The general position of where you're going to want to be is pretty close in front of his face. Not touching him close, but pretty close. Let's go over the main attacks you're going to deal with when keeping a proper distance. Maybe the most common is where he raises one of his arms and does a swiping and potentially bite combo. As I've said, don't just dodge backwards through this. You'll see I haven't quite mastered the art of dodging, but the positioning is what's more important. You can dodge forward towards him and also dodge side to side, and when he stops, his head will be low, and you can get a nice attack in and then just dodge your way back out to a safe distance. It also seems he'll swipe twice and then blow fire, which is a good one just to walk right up and hit him one while he's blowing the fire at you. He's also gonna do this lovely maneuver, where he gets real mad and shouts just about as loud as he can. Following this, he's gonna lunge forward and bite. This is a good time to get some damage in actually. It's gonna feel real dangerous, but so long as you're positioned properly, and once you get the feel for it, you can dodge backwards once, and once he's finished with his bite, his head will be right in front of you. He's also got 2 fiery breath attacks that are quite different. There's the one where he starts from one side and just blows fire all across. Now if you're far enough away, this won't damage you at all. If you're feeling unsure, you can just dodge through the fire at any distance and be alright. I find that this is the best time in the fight to drink an Estus if you need to. Maybe not the best time to go in for an attack. He's also got one where he goes up on his hind legs and blows fire down in a circle beneath him. You can unlock the camera and look down at the fire if you're unsure of the clearance, but pretty much just stay a good distance and it won't hit you. I won't recommend going in for an attack on this one, as I never was able to do it successfully. And if you should see him hunker down like this, that means he's going to lunge across the arena at you. Dodging this one is really just a matter of going left or right. When you get him under 50% of his health, he's going to start doing 2 more things. You'll know you're there when he hunkers down a little bit and starts getting all this purple smoky stuff. You're going to want to get away from him just a bit because he will explode, not in a huge distance. Again, it's all about learning your clearances. Let him explode, and when his head is real high, you can start to walk towards him a bit. As he lowers his head, you'll be able to hit him one. It's a good idea to start charging your weapon beforehand, so when his head is in the right position, you can let go and hit him. He's also going to do another real loud scream and get these magic missiles that come after you. I found these pretty difficult to avoid getting hit by, but they don't do much damage and shouldn't really make or break the fight for you. Once you get him down to about a quarter of his health, he's going to fall down like this. Now this is good news because the fight's pretty much done. When he's fall down like this, you can walk right up and put one in his brain just about as good as you can, and this is going to do an awful lot of damage and put him on a long recovery animation, during which you can walk over and finish the fight. When you beat him, you're going to get 150,000 souls, as well as the spears of the church and the soul of Darkeater Midir. And also, be sure to go back and talk to that nice lady in the tower that asked you to kill the dragon in the first place. She'll give you a titanite slab. From here, you can continue on with your adventure to finish Dark Souls. How sad. Thanks for watching today's Dark Souls 3 tutorial, and I hope that it was helpful. This boss is awfully hard, and I apologize for the length, but I wanted to make sure I could give you as much information as I could. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and subscribe if you really like it. Share it with your friends, and leave some feedback in the comments. Inevitably, I will have missed something about this very in-depth boss. Please help our friends in the comment by sharing some more information. Thanks again, and have a good one.